Hey Magic fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. So I was having a conversation / argument with a few people over on the Soulherder Discord a few days ago about whether we should keep one land hands with Noble Hierarch. Of course, there's a ton of variables we can get into in just a moment. I wanted to show you guys the list where it stands. I have, I think, trimmed the top end of the deck from the last time you guys saw it in favor of more 2-drops. The deck really requires a 2-drop, one or more in our opening hand to sort of get off the ground, start drawing cards, start scrying, to sort of set up our 3-drops, Eternal Witness, Soulherder. On the top end at this point, I've just got one Venser and one Muldrifter. They've both been sort of exceptional, so they've maintained their spots. Because I'm running a pretty low curve with a lot of 2-drops, my land count is 21. And particularly with the Hierarchs, when Gabriel Nassif started testing Soulherder, started playing a lot of leagues with it, he was on 22 lands with no Hierarchs, and the curve was a lot higher with, Jaces, multiple time warps, things like that. This list doesn't have really any 5-drops. Muldrifter is more of a 3-drop, occasionally a 4-drop if you cast Ephemerate with Evoke on the stack. So this is where I'm at. Now the question that was being discussed or argued about was really this question. Should we mulligan this hand? So you've got a castable Noble Hierarch, a 2-drop in hand, and then a bunch of other stuff. Now, for the purposes of this sort of examination, I am working with the assumption that a hand like this with Force and a blue card to pitch is sort of a different conversation, because then we can protect the Hierarch. So imagine if Soulherder was a Force, then this would be much more keepable without question, because turn 1, you play the Vista, you play a Hierarch, you pass the turn. Opponent goes to bolt it right away. They don't want you to be able to make mana with it. We just force and pitch to Fairy. Then, say that they pass, they don't want us to force on their turn. We get to untap at least if they try to bolt Noble Hierarch. We can at least cast Icefang Coatl. So there's a lot of variables, as I was saying. One of the big ones is being on the play versus being on the draw. If you're on the draw, obviously you get, your opponent goes first, then you draw a card. That's a chance to hit a land. Clearly, this hand just needs a land. If it hits 2 lands, it's just totally off to the races. So on the draw, you draw a chance to play a land for your first turn, and then opponent goes again. Then by the time it's turn 2, you get to take 2 draws. Versus being on the play, you run out the Hierarch right away on turn 1, and then when it comes back to you for your turn 2, you get your first draw from the game right then, and you're just praying that it's a land, essentially. If it's not a land, you've got a Hierarch out on the battlefield with your land. You can play the Coatl, draw another card, hopefully that's a land. Of course, the counter argument to keeping this hand, saying that we should mull the hand, the position is that there's a ton of 1 mana, really efficient removal. There's a lot of thought seizes. So if you're on the draw, your opponent goes, they play some swamp, and Inquisition or Thought Seize takes your Hierarch away, and now you absolutely have to draw land to play any magic. If the opponent plays some kind of swamp land again and just pushes, if they play some kind of mountain, they're going to bolt it. Now, Path to Exile doesn't really matter because all we want are lands, so if Path hits the Hierarch, whatever, that's kind of good for us in this hand. So the case for keeping a hand like this is that we have a low curve, as I've mentioned, so if Noble Hierarch doesn't get removed, the hand is fine. It's great. We've got 2 mana. We can cast the Coatl. We're going to have plenty of draw steps, plenty of draws with the Coatl. Gonna hit a land eventually. Witness, particularly with all our fetches, can grab back a land and ensure that we continue to sort of work our way up the curve. Teferi can interfere with the opponent's doing a little bit, hopefully slow them down. You can bounce something, draw an extra card off of him. And Soulherder is obviously just an engine card. You can start bouncing Eternal Witness every turn. The hand has a lot of engine stuff, just not a lot of mana. So first of all, what do you guys think, just offhanded? Do you think that You think this hand is great? Would you always keep this hand? Would you always mulligan this hand? It's super interesting. The deck is new. Obviously, you can apply your experience from playing other decks to whether or not you would keep this hand. Now, my point of view is I'm going to tend to keep this hand because it has a clear plan. You're going to play your land, your Vista, you're going to get a forest, you're going to play Hierarch. At that point, it's on the opponent to be able to do something about the Hierarch. A lot of times in Modern, people are just doing what they're doing. You know, Merfolk, the deck that I come from, they're just going to play a Hierarch. They're going to play a Silvergill, or they're going to play a Lord, and we're going to get to untap, hopefully draw a land, maybe just play Eternal Witness, get back the land right away, or hold up Coatl Instant Speed. Odds are, if the opponent doesn't remove the Hierarch right away, you know, we're going to have a good time with this hand. So anyhow, it's got a plan. If the opponent can interrupt, you know, if they can remove the Hierarch, then great. You know, they're doing what they want to do. They built their deck to defend against certain strategies. They kill the Dork on turn 1. Now we're a little bit stuck. It's going to happen sometimes. But if we mulligan, my idea is that, you know, we have a pretty good chance to hit something worse. So what I decided that I want to do here is basically go through 100 mulligans real fast. If it's really obvious that it's either better or worse, I'll just sort of keep moving quickly. If there's something to sort of be discussed about a particular hand, then I'll discuss it. Hopefully going through 100 hands won't take that long. There's a few things I'm going to be looking for. First of all, running 21 lands, I've been told that it seems rather on the low side of things. Now, with the low curve in my deck and with the experience of having played a lot of matches, my impression is that 21 is just fine. Again, Nassif started with 22 lands and no dorks. I can't see that 21 lands with 4 1-drop mana producers is somehow less stable with its mana than 22 lands. So anyhow, I'm going to be looking for how often I get land screwed, and then beyond that, more to the point of this question, how many hands that I mulligan to 6 are just obviously better? For example, 2 lands and 2 drops and maybe Soulherder and something else. That would be fantastic. 2 lands, bunch of 2 drops, excellent. Even, you know, 3 lands, couple 2 drops is really good. Like I said, better hand should be pretty obvious. Some hands are going to be roughly equal because they're kind of sketchy also. And some hands are just going to be obviously worse, like if we mulligan into 7 lands or something like that. So I'm going to be keeping tallies, hopefully accurately. You guys will probably correct me, I'm sure, if I make a mistake. So again, I'm going to be looking for how many times land screwed, how many times I get a better hand than this, how many times I get a roughly equal hand to this, how many times I get a worse hand. All right, so you've all taken a good look at this. You all have your initial impressions. Let's go ahead and try to get some kind of data about how this deck mulligans. Now, the way that I've set this up, I should be able to just refresh the hands down here. So when I do this, I'm effectively doing it every time I refresh. We're going to be looking at what should be a mulligan to 6. If the hand is bad, I put a tally mark for a worse hand, and I'm going to move on to the next theoretical mulligan to 6. Anytime I get a worse hand and mulligan to would throw that hand back, I'm assuming that I probably would have been better off keeping the first hand, because your chances of winning with a hand like this, in my view, have to be significantly higher than winning with a mulligan to 5. So again, you guys can agree or disagree with that. There's a ton of different viewpoints about, you know, what the best way to mulligan is, and it's going to change from deck to deck. But let's go ahead and look at this first hand here. Now, this hand to me actually looks better. So I'm going to go ahead and put a tally mark under better. If it's not clear why, we're going to keep 3 lands, 2 card drawers, and then the Eternal Witness. Pretty solid opening hand. Just doesn't have the sketchiness that this hand has. As I mentioned, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Hands that are just playable and not sketchy. Like opponent could Thoughtseize us here and we'd be able to just continue playing without any huge problem. So I'm going to try to keep moving quickly. If you guys hear me say anything that you really strongly agree with or disagree with, please leave a comment down below. So one hand already in the better column, so let's go ahead to the next one. This one to me is worse, obviously, because we can't cast any of our spells. So that one goes under worse. That's where those basic lands create problems. I guess that could go under land screw, but I don't think that's really what the case is here. I think that this is just a factor of playing a 3-color deck with 8 basics in it. We get, I guess I could put double island as a little mark here. But sometimes when you're playing a 3-color deck, you're going to draw, the wrong colors to be able to cast your stuff. It's pretty rare. Hopefully we'll see that it's pretty rare as we continue to take these mulligans. So next. Let's see. This hand, my initial impression is that it is better. We can keep 2 lands, well, everything, and just pitch one of these lands, I guess, right? So turn 1 Hierarch. If it doesn't get removed, we can play a Soulherder. But Soulherder doesn't do much unless we draw something else. We're not going to be able to hard cast the Muldrifter until turn 4 as things stand, unless we draw into an Ephemerate. This hand to me seems roughly equal with this hand. So I'm going to go ahead and put a mark under roughly equal just because it doesn't have a 2-drop. And that's a pretty strict rule, I think, for being better than the hand that we're looking at up here. So moving on. This hand is worse in my view because while you have lands to cast your spells, it has very, very little gas. If the opponent thought seizes you and you get your Oracle taken away, you literally have nothing to do. You have to hope to draw no lands for the rest of the game. For me, this is a worse hand. So I believe I'm 4 hands in now. 1 better, 1 equal, 2 worse. So next. And no land screw yet. So this hand looks better to me. We've got, we probably pitch one of these basic lands. Let's see. Yeah, I think turn 1 you're going to go Windswept Heath into Temple Garden, and then turn 2 Snow-Covered Island. We probably get rid of the basic forest, run out the Icefang Coatl, and then if we don't draw a 3rd land on time, we can Ephemerate the Coatl, hopefully draw a land right away. If we do draw a 3rd land, then we can just, depending on what the opponent's doing, either go to Fairy or Soulherder. So this hand is better. So continuing, gonna refresh. This hand is clearly worse, so that goes in the worst category. Again, not really getting land screwed here, so next one. This is one for the land screw pile. I'm going to put a tally mark over here. That's sort of a separate list. So this is obviously worse. It's 1 hand without a Hierarch, so that goes over in the worst column, and 1 for the land screw also. All right, now this one is better, so I'll just put it under better and just refresh. I think I don't have to talk about that one. This is 1 for the land screw, so we've only got 1 land, and it is worse. So 5 in the worse pile, 3 in the better, 1 equal so far. All right, this hand looks better. It's got mana, it's got 2 drops, it's even got a counterspell. So this one goes under the better pile, under the better column, I guess. And yeah, no land screw in this one, so continuing. Okay, there we go. This one's fine. I'd actually say better. So we're even on better and worse at this point. We get again the Temple Garden on turn 1 with this, and then plenty of 2 drops. With this hand, I think I'd actually probably pitch a Coiling Oracle, keeping some interaction in case it's a very aggressive deck that we're playing against. Again, if we don't draw a 3rd land or something great right away, we can Ephemerate a Coiling Oracle, hopefully hit more lands. But yeah, here I'm going to pitch one of the Oracles, and this hand is better. So next. This hand, also better. In this case, I'd pitch the 2nd Soulherder, keep 3 lands, be sure to be able to get Eternal Witness down, be sure to get a Soulherder down. So another one in the better column. Just keep on going. This one, let's see. This one I'm going to call worse. It doesn't have a 2-drop. It's super duper slow. We probably get rid of one of the ephemerates. We're not doing a single thing with this hand until turn 3. That's pretty terrible. That goes under the worst column. Let's go ahead and draw the next one. So this hand, clearly better. We're going to probably pitch one of the lands. We've got a lot of 2-drops that we can cast. They're going to almost certainly draw us into more lands. Let's see if we're on the play. We play a land. We draw. We play a Coiling Oracle, going to draw us another card. And by turn 3, we should have drawn 3 cards to hit a 3rd land and get Soulherder online. So yeah, anyhow, regardless of what card I'm pitching here, this hand is better. So continuing. This one is one of those tricky ones, again, with too many basics. It doesn't have a 2-drop anyway, so it's worse. So yeah, just goes in the worst column. We're dead even right now with 7 better, 7 worse, and 1 equal. So next one. This is clearly worse. There's 0 lands. This is what you're afraid of when you mulligan a hand like this, is getting just something strictly worse. So continuing, this hand is better. Refreshing again. This hand, probably also better. Tricky decision, I guess. Probably depends on draw or play. If I'm on the play, I probably... it's difficult. Anyhow, this is not about which card to choose. I would make a decision during the match, but I'm going to call this better because it's got lands and it's got a 2-drop and it's got other spells that we can play. So this one goes in the better column. This one goes in the worse. And I may have missed a land screw along the way. Actually, I definitely did. So I'm going to put 2 tallies over in the land screw. Let's continue. This hand, double force. Got a Coatl into a witness. There's not a lot of gas, right? So turn 2, let's see, we're probably going to get Hallowed Fountain into Forest. Turn 2, play out a Coatl. Turn 3, play out a Witness. We've got some counterspell backup, but it's going to create some card disadvantage, and we're not really sitting on a lot of value in this hand. I'm going to call this one roughly equal. You guys can argue with me if you want. I'm going to continue. This hand is, let's see, we get, again, Hallowed Fountain and then Forest. Yeah, we can play Magic with this hand, but let's see. Let's get blue, white, and blue, Ephemerate. Yeah, I'm going to call this hand slightly better. So better hands, pulling a little bit ahead, but still roughly neck and neck. This hand is another land screw, and it is worse. So now we're even again. This hand... probably pitch... So with 2 lands, we play out a Coatl, get a bunch of draws, hopefully hit a 3rd land. We've got Deputy of Detention. If we hit a 4th on time, we get to play out Venser, bounce some stuff. There's no Ephemerate, there's no Soulherder. We're probably pitching the Muldrifter in this hand. So I don't know. To me, this seems kind of like an equal hand. I'll put that down as equal. You guys are gonna argue with me. I'm probably gonna contradict myself a couple times on my rationale because some of these are so borderline. It's really close. If we don't draw any lands, let's see, we've got 2 Coatls. Not a lot of interaction apart from the Deputy, which requires us to draw a 3rd land. You know, this hand doesn't have a lot of interaction either. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one slightly better. I think I put it down as equal, but I'm going to change that. Slightly better. This one is worse, and it goes down under land screw. We're going to just go straight ahead, continue. This hand is better, I think, right? So yeah, it's better because ramping into Venser is always really strong. Even though we don't have a lot of gas, Coiling Oracle gives us an extra draw off the top of the deck, so I'm going to call this one better. This hand is better, so just going to put a hash mark Move along. This hand is also better. So, better. This hand is worse. Another one from Monoscrew. This is Flood. I should probably have a little column for Flood as well. This is terrible, so definitely worse. This one is based on some of the other ones. I guess it has to be slightly better. Slightly better. We've got 2 lands, which is a little bit more robust than just a land and a hierarch. We need to hit a 3rd land, but we've got some stuff to do. We can play a witness and get back that land. So I'm going to call this one slightly better. So continuing, this hand is... Well, this is a tricky one, right? Because if the hierarch gets removed, then we can't cast our 2-drop, since we only have green-blue. We've got a lot of green-blue and blue with Watcher for tomorrow in the deck that we could draw into. But if Hierarch stays around, we can just cast Teferi on turn 2, which is kind of massive. We could also cast Witness on turn 2, though that wouldn't get anything back. There won't be anything in there. Ephemerate, we don't have any white lands. So the fact that this has 2 lands, and if Hierarch lives, there's kind of a huge kind of bomb on turn 2. I'm going to call this one slightly better. These are tricky hands, right? But due to the nature of the lands and the distribution of sort of colored mana costs, this hand could go south, pretty quickly. But I'm going to call it ever so slightly better than this one that we're looking at here. This is Land Screw, and it is worse. So continuing. This hand is better. So just hash mark, moving on. This hand is worse. It's getting land screwed. So refresh again. This hand is worse. It's getting land screwed. Oh, you know what? I didn't really look at that one closely enough. There might have even been a second land there. I was kind of zoning out there. Sorry about that one. Hopefully I didn't miss too much there. But it did have 1 land and a hierarch, I think. So it's roughly equal, maybe, if not worse. So sorry if I missed that one. I just saw a few lands and put it under worse. I'll try to pay more attention. So this one, we've got 2 lands, a castable 2-drop. Draw any fetch. Let's see, probably going to get green with this. And then if we've got a path that we can cast. I'll call this one slightly better. Okay, so continuing. This one is just better. So another better. This one is worse. Land Screw. This one is worse because it has absolutely nothing to do. It doesn't quite qualify for flooding, I don't think. But I will definitely put this down under worse. This hand is better, so it's got the Hierarch ramp into Prince. Soulherder we can draw into Ephemerate. Force, if we draw into another blue spell, we can protect the Soulherder, so this hand is better. So currently we're sitting at 20 hands that are better, 18 hands that are worse, and 2 that are equal. So I guess that's 40 so far. So let's just keep slogging through this. This is a weird hand. Got a castable Force. We've got some Winds as removal. This hand is good against different decks, right? Like Winds is good against creature decks. Force is good against non-creature decks. It's probably the best against like Infect because we can counter one of their pump spells. And then remove one of their creatures, potentially remove another with Deputy. But this hand, it's so weird, right? What's only action it has is Deputy. It's got some nice ramp. We can get a turn 4 Winds of Abandon here. But I'm going to call this, it's so borderline, I'm going to call it roughly equal to the other sketchy hand. So, refreshing. This hand is better. So, tally for better. This hand is equal, right? Same idea, pretty much. Just one land, Noble Hierarch, hope that the opponent doesn't remove the Hierarch. But it's a mulligan, right? So that this is interesting because I've been, so equal in general is like, if it's kind of sketchy. So this hand is kind of sketcy. It has a path to exile. It's a little better balanced, I think, than the hand up here. So yeah, I'll call it equal, even though it's a mulligan. This whole thing is a little bit weird. There's so many variables. So okay, this has 2 lands, a Hierarch, Quaddle. So this is just straight up better. This one, I'm gonna say also better. We're probably just shipping the basic planes here. Nice, getting some good hands. This is Monoscrew and worse. So boo on that one. This has no 2-drop, doesn't really do anything. Got a path, but got a 2-drop. I'm gonna call this one worse. Did that refresh? It looks identical. I don't think it's not the same. So this is another Hierarch hand, but it doesn't have a 2-drop. I don't know. I'm gonna put that under worse. Maybe it didn't refresh. Let's try again. There we go. All right, this one's better. So better. I'm gonna continue. This one is better because it's more playable. It doesn't really have any interaction, but it's got our plan, like 2-drop into Soulherder. So that's better. This hand is definitely better, so mark it. Okay, there's a prince, so we keep 2 lands, prince. Yeah, we definitely want to draw a 3rd land, but Prince's Scry will help us with that, and the white mana with Ephemerate can help us do that. So this hand qualifies as being better. I'm gonna ship Ephemerate. Sorry, Ephemerate's really strong with Witness, so I'm gonna ship one of these guys. If it's game 2, I'm better informed as to what I want to ship. Let's just continue. This hand, I'm gonna say is better. A 2-drop with Ephemerate. We can play Magic. It doesn't really matter if the prince gets killed. Still draw a 3rd land. What's a mulligan, right? So 2 lands and a 2-drop, but the 2-drop doesn't draw us a card in this case. Turn 3 to Fairy is not like a huge home run. I don't know. I'm gonna call this one roughly equal. Like, what do I have my equal column for if not for hands like that? Okay, basic planes, ruining our day. It's not Monoscrew. It's just, again, sort of the 3 colors coming to bite us in the butt. So I'm going to call this one worse. Oh, wait, we've got a Charming Prince. So does that make the difference between worse and better, or does it just become equal? So we've got the Ephemerate. We hit any blue, we get a bunch of Coiling Oracles. That's pretty solid. Yeah, I'm going to call this one slightly better. I'm really looking forward to your guys' feedback on this because this is not something you get to see other Magic players do every day. Not sure why it's not refreshing. I'll just do a hard refresh on the window. There we go. Okay, so this hand is better. Got some sweet 2-drops and plenty of lands. So tricky with the lands, just to point it out, because we've got green and blue, but we really want white to cast Ephemerate. So I might actually want to pitch to Fairy here, as rough as that sounds, and just keep my lands. Not sure, it's a tough decision. Both of the 2-drops are going to draw us something, but this is one that's really dependent on being on the draw. But it is definitely better. I'm not even sure if I put my hash mark down yet, but there we go. All right, so this one, it's got the 2-drop, it's got a 3-drop, it's got Ephemerate. I'm going to call it better. Probably pitching, I guess, Venser here. No, I really like Venser. So this hand's got 2-drop. Yeah, it's better. It's not the best hand, but it's better. All right. Again, better. Sweet Ephemerate action. 2-drop, 3-drop. Ephemerate, Eternal Witness combo. Right. This one better again. This one also better. Yep. This hand, no 2-drop. Some removal. Potentially dead against, like, you know, not very good against Tron or something like that. Oh, it's got a force we can cast on turn 2. Maybe it's not so bad. But against creature decks, you know, if we're not doing anything with our plan, I'm going to call this one worse. And this one is, I guess we have to go with better on this one, right? It's got a 2-drop, 3-drop, 2 3-drops. Probably going to play a pitch the basic island, right? Yeah, this one's narrowly better. So let's go ahead and sort of take count here. 5, 6, 7. We've got 35 better hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 22. Worse hands, and exactly 5 equal hands. 35, 40, 62. We've got a bit to go. Currently, the better hands are winning the race. This hand, I mean, it's Coiling Oracle, Witness, Force Backup with 3 lands, which is decent. But at what point are we sort of diluting the power level of the hand? This hand has so much gas in it, and if we draw 1 land, it's just bonkers. So I think this qualifies as like an equal power hand. Again, equal power, mulligan to 6, right? Like that 6 against the 7 up here. That 6 was roughly equal to the 7. This hand is much stronger because potentially ramping into Teferi, or if they remove the Hierarch, still following up with Oracle is great, so definitely better. This hand is worse. It goes under Mana Screw. There haven't been a ton of mana problems, actually. Like, I mean, we've got some Mana Screw going on, but flooding, not really. I mean, I guess we had one hand where we got like 6 lands or something, but this one's worse, and it goes under Land Screw. This one is better because we've got this Vista. We go blue, green. Unfortunately, we can't cast that Prince yet, but fortunately, we've got enough action going on with Oracles. So probably pitching one of the basic forests, running out the Oracles, hoping to hit, nice fetch land, and then running out a Soulherder, following it up with Charming Prince. Maybe we fall behind on life, we gain some life with Charming Prince, bounce it with Soulherder, grow the Soulherder, gain some more life, that kind of thing. So this one goes under better. Going to continue. This one does have the 2-drop, does have a turn 2 Witness, getting back a fetch land, ensuring that we sort of keep hitting our land drops. So this one's slightly better, I think. Going to keep going. This one, 2 lands. They remove the Hierarch. We can't really cast anything. There's no 2-drop. But turn 2 to Fairy, but there's not a lot of gas. Do have some counter magic. I'm going to call this one roughly equal. Again, you have to factor in Hierarch getting removed the same way that we do with this hand. And if Hierarch gets removed on turn 1, we're just sitting on 2 lands doing absolutely nothing, right? No 2-drops. So even though Teferi is kind of a bomb on turn 2, Witness is kind of a bomb on turn 2, making sure that we get to keep playing lands. Teferi bounces something and draws another card. It's kind of equal. Teferi acting like a 2-drop here, just drawing us cards. All right, so equal weight. Let's continue. Because it's sketchy, right? Sketchy hands are equal. This one, we've got a turn 2 Coatl. Probably gonna ship one of the lands, I guess. We've got Hallowed Fountain into Forest. I mean, it's nice to be able to cast Soulherder, but I think I pitched one of the lands here. Might depend on the play or the draw, but we're going to get to draw a bunch of cards to try to hit that 3rd land. We've also got an Ephemerate, help the Coatl dodge some removal, hopefully, and a counterspell for something nasty. So it's not sketchy, but it's not super powerful, but I think it is slightly better given the 2-drop and the Ephemerate, so that goes in the better column. I hope I'm not dragging on too much. I'm trying to make pretty succinct comments. This one has, let's see, 3 lands. Probably keep 2 of them. We get to scry with Charming Prince. Some removal, Fairy. Doesn't have ramp with Hierarch, doesn't have Ephemerate, doesn't have a Soulherder. It's just normal, like 2-drop on turn 2, 3-drop on turn 3, remove one of their creatures. There's no ramp into an overloaded Winds. I don't know. This one plays Magic, but it doesn't really play really powerful Magic. Like, if this hand hits a land and the Hierarch doesn't get removed, it just kind of goes nuts, right? Like, we can get back our land with Eternal Witness on I guess, turn 2 if we draw land, and then we're sort of in the clear. The interaction between Witness and fetch lands makes this hand reasonable. In this case, we don't really need more lands, so that interaction isn't as important. I'm going to call this one roughly equal. Get at me, YouTube viewers. This one, it's got 2-drop into Soulherder, in some interaction with Deputy of Retention and lands, so I'm going to call this one narrowly better. Okay, I thought I just had the 2 islands, but there's 2 more lands over here. So, this one is, I'm gonna go ahead and say better because it's got, if they remove the Hierarch, we can still play Prince. If they don't remove the Hierarch, you know, we can potentially play Deputy. If Tron played out a map, we can grab that map, slow them down. So this one is a little bit better. Not a lot of gas, obviously not a lot of gas, but I think it qualifies. This one is straight up better. 2 lands, a bunch of 2-drops, some removal. Not sure what I pitch here. Depends on the matchup. If I'm playing it against like a control deck, definitely going to keep the Watcher. If I'm playing against Burn, I'm probably going to pitch the Watcher. But this is better in either case. This is Land Screw and worse, obviously. Okay, so 2 lands. 2 Hierarchs, nothing massive to ramp into. Let's see, turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 land, maybe Witness gets back a land, or just play out the second Hierarch, right? Leave up the first Hierarch, or attack with the first Hierarch, leave up Vista to protect them with Ephemerate. If they don't get removed, play a Soulherder with Ephemerate backup. It's kind of a slow start. Of course, we're going to be drawing cards for our draw step. I'm going to call this one slightly better. Slightly better. I like Soulherder, I like Eternal Witness, I like Ephemerate. That's sort of like the trifecta right there. I'm going to refresh this hand. Well, it's got a 2-drop and a 3-drop. Eternal Witness gets some lands, got Ephemerate. Tricky. Matchup dependent. Watcher is really slow against like Burn with all their hasty creatures. So it's got 4 lands, still not really qualifying for flooding. So fetch land, turn 1, get a Temple Garden, turn 2, Snow-Covered Island, play Watcher, turn 3, Witness. I mean, turn 3, we're trying to probably Ephemerate Watcher, get back whatever he tucked, and then use our other 2 mana to play that out. So yeah, I don't know. This is slightly better. I like that it can actually play cards, whereas you know this one can play cards, but only this one right now. The 1 land is really kind of keeping things held back. This one's better. Yep. So at this point we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 45 better. 24 if I'm counting correctly. Worse is falling behind. And then 9 equal. So that's 45 plus 24, 69 plus 9 is 78. Let's just double check that. It's 54, 78. All right, 78. 3/4 of the way, basically. Yeah, this hand is better. Let's keep going. This one is turn 2 Herder into... Okay, let's see. If we draw land, this hand is actually pretty busted against some decks. I got to do this the other day where it's turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Soulherder. Play a land, turn 3 Venser on your main phase, bounce a land, bounce whatever they have, and then you get to repeat that with Soulherder on the end step. So getting that extra 4 mana of value is pretty powerful. We get to protect it with Force, that little combo. But because Venser needs a land to come down on turn 3, the same way that we need a land up here to be solid, Turn 2 Soulherder with Force backup. I mean, we're going to have some draw steps before turn 3 to hopefully be able to play something like Venser or even a 2-drop that to get Soulherder online. Again, we're protecting this guy with forces. So I'm going to call it ever so slightly better. Again, just based on the power of that combo. We've got 2 lands. We're going to draw into some stuff. So yeah, ever so slightly better. This qualifies as Flood, and definitely worse. This one is solidly better. This hand, not better. Probably worse. It's only got 3 drops, so that one goes in the worst column. This hand, it's land screw, so cross that and put it in the worst pile. Worst is trying to catch up. Let's go tapped out. Do a hard refresh on the page. Okay, there we go. This hand is much better, so cross that and continue. I think I did a hard refresh again by mistake. Yep, there we go. All right, this one doesn't have a 2-drop, but it does have 3 drops. I think for that reason, if Hierarch gets removed, we can't play our 3 drops. It's just a little bit sketchy, so I think it gets equal weight with the first hand up there. This hand is worse. Not land screw or flood, just doesn't do anything. Right, this hand is better, so better. This hand, very little gas, right? So Coatl into Eternal Witness, getting back a land when we already have a bunch of lands. It's like equal because it's not amazing. This is land screw, again, worse. This is this could be slightly better. 3 lands. Turn 3, we can just straight up like evoke Muldrifter and draw a couple cards, just like go nuts with the card draw. Alternatively, if we draw an Ephemerate on turn 2, we can play Coiling Oracle and Ephemerate. I'm going to call this one slightly better. This one is kind of nice, although the basic planes is, well, we got the Charming Prince. So that's showing us, this has come up before already in this little test of mine, where basic planes would otherwise kind of screw our 2-drop. In this case, we get to play the Charming Prince. With this hand, I think I'm pitching one of these forces, playing Charming Prince. Yeah, we've got some ramp with Hierarch. This hand is slightly better. This hand only has 1 land, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Cross that off as worse. This hand is, I'm going to just go ahead and say slightly better, because it's got a couple 2-drops we can play. Can ramp us, can scry us. Just based on the fact that, you know, we can play magic, we can throw some blocks in front of fast creatures, we can slow down combo decks with force, gets it into slightly better territory. This one, we've got the Prince, no ramp, some expensive spells. Got a force to protect us. Double shock is pretty harsh, although turn 1 is tapped, 1 comes in untapped. We gain life with Charming Prince. I don't like it, it's a little sketchy. I think it's sort of even weight with the first hand. So this hand is getting mono screwed. So it is... with the Hierarch, it has to be considered, and all these 2-drops, sort of close to this one, right? So call that one even. Hierarch, turn 2 Soulherder, turn 3. Turn 3 we have evoke plus Ephemerate as long as Noble Hierarch lives, and if Soulherder lives, then it's like just too many cards. So I'm going to call this one better just because it's like showing some of the synergies pretty nicely. Okay, this hand is getting land screwed, so we'll put that down, put it in worse. Let's see. Blue, white, can't oh, we have that misty rainforest. So probably pitching the basic plains. But regardless, this hand is just better. So go ahead and mark it. Trying to refresh. There we go. This hand, very similar. It's got the one hierarch, Charming Prince. So I didn't count the last few as land screw, but I'm just going to put a tally down because that is one land. Maybe I'll put 2 down because I'm not sure I counted one of these guys. And this is definitely sort of equal weight. All right, let's do another one. Okay, this is totally land screw, so, and totally worse. I'm gonna pause at the next better hand. Oof, land screw, and no hierarch. Wow. Okay, so 2. Okay, we do have 2 lands, so this hand is better. Better for sure. They remove the hierarch. We still play Charming Prince. If hierarch lives, we probably slam to Fairy. If they're being aggressive, we might just play Soulherder. Not just, well, depends. We can play to Fairy and like bounce a Tarmogoyf or something, but this hand is definitely better. So let's pause for a moment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 55 better hands. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 33 worse hands, and then 14 equal hands, which puts us at 88, 98. Looks like we went a little bit over the 100. So that is 55, that's 69. And then, yeah, we got to 102. So let me back up a little bit because I just, for the purposes of percentages and such, just going to be kind of clean. So I'll take away one of the last worst ones. I guess it was the last 2. I don't know. It's kind of weird doing extra ones. I think the last 2 were worse, so whatever. I'm gonna end it like that. It's just a couple data points in this whole big thing. But I'll leave those tallies over in the land screw distribution just to have a better idea about that. So let's recap what happened here. 55 hands were better, so 55% of the time we're going to draw a better hand. 33% of the time we're going to draw a just straight up worse hand, whether because of flood or because of mono screw. And then 14% of the time, is that, no, sorry, 31% of the time. Yeah, 31% of the time we're going to draw worse. And then 14% of the time we're going to draw equal. So let's see. According to this, we have roughly twice the chance of drawing a worse hand than an equal hand, but something like 60+% better chance of drawing a solid hand over a worse hand. So 55 to 31, pretty clear, I guess, after this little test here that we probably want to mulligan this kind of a hand. It's been a productive test. It actually went against my initial hypothesis. Actually, one thing that I'm picking up on here, and I might want to do another 100, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 22% of my hands were land screw. So I'm not sure how that lines up compared to other decks in Modern, like other sort of low to the ground decks that don't run a ton of lands. But it's something that I'll definitely keep a lookout for. Maybe I'll run through another few. You know what? I've got you guys here. I'm just gonna not just only analyze another. Sorry, I've got a low battery. Let me plug in real quick. 1 sec. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to look at lands real fast. So we're going to look only at land screw, OK, and flood. All right, so land screw, OK, or flood. So let's shuffle a little bit, shuffle, 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 and then get things started. So this is fine on lands. This is fine on lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's kind of flooded. This is 4, which I think falls in the sort of OK range. All right, next one. This is land screw. This is perfect. This is very good. Okay, this is very good as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, that counts, that's okay. This is screw. This is okay. This is okay. This is also okay. This is flood. This is land screw. One land, regardless of hierarch, I think counts as land screw. This is okay. This is okay. This is screwed. This is okay. This is getting screwed. You can see the hierarch helps with the land screw. This is okay. This is borderline, but okay. This is also borderline, but okay. 2, 3, 4. Same thing. We're just looking at mana distribution here. This is okay, just going on count. Also okay. Again, on count, we're fine. Again. Good. Good. One, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. Screw. Screw. Okay. This one is just barely okay. This is nice. This is also nice. That's flood. This is screw. 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 Yikes. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Kind of on the flooding side. This is okay. It's okay. This is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 is okay. Screw. Double hierarch though. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're like halfway there. This is okay. Sometimes that like Vista just hides over there next to another gold card. It's possible I missed one of those before. It's also okay. Okay. This is screw. This is okay. This is flood. This is okay. It's okay. Okay. You ever go to the dentist and they're like checking your teeth and they're like 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1 or whatever? This is okay. I feel like that's what I'm doing here. This is okay. Hands are looking pretty good in general. Can't cast the hierarch. This is awkward, but I'm gonna put it down for statistics purposes as okay. Because I'm just looking at raw land amount in the opening hand. This is land screw. This is okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 is okay. Very nice. This is okay. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Let's take a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, we're at like 60 something. Not sure if I got that one. I think I did. This is okay. This is okay as well. This is good. Okay, that's oof. Okay, very nice. I almost missed one of the lands. This is nice. This is good. This is good. Yep. Screw. And screw again. Okay, back to good. Very good. Nice. Screw. 4 lands, that counts. 2 lands. Can't play the hierarch, but or anything really, but for numbers purposes, this is screw. This is screw. This is almost flood. This is pretty good. No 2 drops though. This is good. 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 Screw. 1, 2, 3. Good. Good. And we have to take another count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18. All right, got like 10 more to go. So this is screw. Screw. Good. Good. Screw. Good. Screw. All right, I need to count a little bit more carefully now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 23 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 63. No, 73. And then 4 over here. So that's 96 plus 4. That's exactly 100. All right, so if you guys stuck with me there, this is remarkably close to what I got for the land distribution in the first 100. 23% was screwed. 22% was land screwed in the first 100. So 22 to 23, it's like identical. And then I flooded about twice in the first 100, and then flooded 4 times in the second 100, which means something like 70% of the time the land is okay, which seems like I'm probably at the right spot. A bunch of times when I was screwed, I had a hierarch that was able to cast. So yeah, the hierarchs help a little bit, and we saw that when I mulliganed, I got a better hand than this sort of pretty decent but slightly sketchy hand. Got a better hand like 55% of the time, so the deck appears to mulligan pretty well. I would say that you can afford with this deck to mulligan sketchy hands. 55% of the time you should do better. Again, this is using my particular list, but this has been a really interesting experiment. Please leave your comments down below. I'm sure you guys are going to have plenty of them. Hopefully you guys had this on like 2 times speed, because I'm sure it's running pretty long at this point. But very productive on my end. Hopefully it helps you guys. Please subscribe if you haven't done that. Please check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye.